How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling?
Hey.
Hey, look at everybody dressed up to the nines. Love it.
Hey, hey, in the courthouse on the left.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
yeah,
you
yeah.
doing, Vitaly?
Shh, be quiet.
Okay, okay, sorry.
Can you see in here?
Mhm.
Can you see?
Mhm.
I'm talking to her. Can you see? Okay, she can't. Well, just sit down. Pop squat. Third eye. Third eye something. And click sit down. Oh, I think she can. Dang it. You can't third eye this bitch.
They would call.
Oh shit.
ABD. You got to give us a minute. We in court.
It's that good shit.
Hey,
What's up? What's up? What the fuck's so funny?
why is this lady standing up here like this?
Ooh,
You don't see the lady behind the
I
judge?
don't know what that white lady do, man. I don't know who that is. Man, that's weird. Pointing fingers in the courtroom at people. Trying to go to jail. What's that?
Hey,
Icebox.
hey, 815. Pull out your phone. Hey, pull out your phone.
Who that is at Icebox?
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Me getting up to stumble is bananas every time. Sis, nah, we're not about to be stumbling at
Yeah,
the same time. We cannot do
since
this.
you said and I could
Ooh wee. like stumbling too.
Like you heard it.
Oh my god.
Miguel,
Yep.
what's going on?
Hmm. Let me. Hmm. Mm-mm. Okay, I'm headed into live courtroom one. Live courtroom one in the DOJ East. Live courtroom one in the DOJ East.
Ahem.
Um, I think we can hear you from up there.
You said you think you can? Can you hear me?
Oh, barely. Nope, not from here.
Yeah, I'm just allowing EMS some time. They did contact me, and they should be headed in.
Okay. Your Honor, I did the live. Hold on, I'm gonna approach. I did set up the live stage inside of the government website. Um, can I add to stage?
Mm. Hey, yo, wait. Take out your phone right quick.
Okay. So it looks like we have
Wait.
Miss
Take out
Edwards
your phone right quick.
versus Atlanta Medical on the dockets today. I will allow 5 more minutes before the court proceeds.
Can you hear the judge?
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure that in the east,
Oh,
and I can't hear her back here. Like,
I think she's gonna have to put herself on screen or something.
oh my goodness, I was on screen. Dang, that's crazy.
So that
Oh, not us all stumbling through trial.
Alrighty, court may um proceed.
Your Honor, are you shouting?
Yeah, I'm finna get
Alrighty, I
actually
am
a new
now.
horse.
Yeah.
Yes, much better.
Okay.
Give me the key.
Okay,
All
so
right.
if Miss Envy, if you would like to start us off as to why we are here today.
Sure. Okay, so today we're here because Miss Chanel Edwards experienced a rather devastating experience with the Atlanta Emergency Medical Services. Okay. This happened on September the 21st. It was at around 10:30, 10:40. Miss Edwards was injured and she reached out to have um, AMS assist her to pick her up. During this pickup, Miss Edwards experienced, well, actually, the AMS driver um, experienced a wreck, some sort of crash. Something happened to where, the vehicle was not able to get them to the hospital. During this time, I believe was another responding AMS worker that came to the scene to get the individuals that were left. During this time, Miss Edwards was actually left in the first emergency vehicle. She was left in a trunk. Okay. The emergency service worker did acknowledge that she was in the trunk and proceeded to leave her there. This was very devastating to Miss Edwards, and in which we're here today. Um, yeah, we do have video footage of that as well. So yeah, that's why we're here.
Hey,
Okay,
P.
thank you for that.
Sure.
This who?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
I
We're on two sides of the aisle here. We have our patient, and then we have our hard-working Atlanta medical staff sat there. Now,
not into it.
we are all people in this great city, in this esteemed courtroom. We are all people. But in addition to that, these workers are also people, and they also were affected by the same mudslide, blindnesses, and sinkholes that everyone was. Now, while all of the rest of us citizens get to panic and think, woe is me, and freak out, our members of the esteemed Atlanta Medical Services Hospital, they at all times, no matter the danger, no matter the tragedy, no matter the risk to themselves, no matter the trauma, no matter the blood, no matter the gore, they have to keep a level head and put the patient first. And today, the defense will prove that the Atlanta Medical Services, they were not in any way negligent in this matter. No, 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 not at all. They went above and beyond to get care to the patient, Miss Chanel Edwards, and we will be proving that in court today. Thank you.
Okay, we can go ahead and start off with any proof or evidence that was submitted.
Okay, yeah, no, sure. So, video that we have here, this is going to be the first video in which my client experienced the car crash. Okay, so give me a second.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
getting to you now. Give me a second. I'll share it in our. I'm getting it ready now. I'll go ahead and put that in our live feed. Give me a second.
Okay.
Just a second. I cannot give you those, Your Honor.
Yes.
I can't give her permission to present.
Give me a sec.
My apologies. Okay, that is the second video. Here's the first. This one? I already have the second video. Your Honor, would you like the second video played now?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. One moment. Here's the second video. And that's the end of the second video.
Okay. Miss Envy, what is your client asking for?
Okay, so my client is asking for $5 million, just in regards to the pain and suffering of being left in the trunk by the second responder. Also, she's traumatized by this. She, I understand our defense attorney said, the emergency medical team is stand up. We're not disputing that. We're not saying that they're not. Unfortunately, we do have to recognize my client's concern and how traumatized she was by this incident. Um, and yes, that's what we're asking.
Okay. And Atlanta Medical, you guys are asking or agreeing, or what are you guys stance?
We are disputing and countersuing, but I have everything ready once the defense phase starts.
In just a second, Your Honor, my client actually is able to be available as well. She'll be here in just a second.
Okay, so she is gonna
Yeah,
show
she was
face.
able to make it. Sorry for her
Okay.
tardiness.
Okay.
Your Honor, unless the plaintiff is being called as a witness, there is not necessarily a need to wait until their arrival to proceed with the defense phase, unless we are still currently in the plaintiff phase.
Well, Your Honor, the defense did say that they're countersuing. They're countersuing my client. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct? Oh,
That is
okay.
correct.
So I would just like her to be present so that she can hear what she's being countersued for.
Looks
Hello,
like she's made
Janelle.
it on time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
And then Janelle, you can just start out.
okay, so yeah, so at this point, I mean, like Miss Edwards' lawyer has presented, what she's um hoping to get from this situation, how it has, caused harm and trouble in her life. Um, now, Atlanta Medical now is, your time.
All right, Your Honor. As I present my case, I will first start off by reading the complaint as written by the plaintiffs. Their complaint reads as is: on September 21st, on or around 10:40 p.m. EST, Chanel Edwards was injured and requested assistance from the City of Atlanta Medical Service on her from the City of Atlanta Medical Services. On her way to the hospital, the emergency vehicle crashed. This crash caused additional injury to the already injured Edwards. Another emergency services vehicle arrived to pick up Edwards along with others. Is she okay?
Objecting, Your Honor. I think I can present, as far as what I've actually stated.
Your
Is
Honor,
there a
I
need for
also
that?
object. This is the defense phase right now.
Okay.
I do have to outline my
Your
case
Honor,
and
I need to speak to my lawyer really quick because her
Sure.
being here is a conflict of interest. Miss Thing right here. What's the little
Hold on.
defense?
Wait, wait.
Yes, she's a conflict of interest due to a prior case, And she shouldn't even be in contact with me right now or have anything to
I'm,
do with this case either.
Your
I just
Honor,
gave it to my lawyer so she can handle it.
I haven't had contact with Miss Edwards since the prior case, and not only that, I work for the city, and pardon me, I work for the city, and I am representing a city entity in the capacity of defense. So this is indeed not a conflict. And keep in mind also that the plaintiff phase
Yeah.
went completely interrupted, and now it is the defense phase. These conflicts should have been brought up during the plaintiff phase, and of course, those concerns may have been brought up had the plaintiff arrived on time.
Okay, objection, Your Honor. Regardless of the fact I had stated before that my client was not unable to arrive on time, so that should not be discussed as of now. Like she's here now, so if she feels as if she's uncomfortable with you here in this courtroom for whatever reason, she has a right to acknowledge that and say that.
And the
Your
Atlanta
Honor, may
Medical
we please?
Services are also
No.
entitled to
I'm not
fair
hearing
and
you.
No,
legal
no, 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 no.
representation.
We will not do that. We will not do
Thank
that.
you. May I just have a moment
If
with my
y'all
client?
have any situation like this, y'all will be held in contempt. I just will put that out there. We're not gonna have it back and forth. But I will say this also because this have been talked about, and because of the many changes that did happen in amongst the DAs, it was saw fit that she could handle this case. This isn't anything personal. This isn't a Miss Edwards suing Miss JB or the DA. This is the Atlanta Medical being sued here. She's represented them. That we cannot that this has already been discussed. This has been before we even came to court today. So sorry, Miss Edwards, if you were not made aware, but that was very much so known. Um, so we will continue. Um, we're even allowing, Miss Edwards for you to come in and be this late at this point. So let's just make this a smooth process. Let everybody be heard.
Thank
Okay,
you, Your
you can
Honor.
continue. Mhm.
So the plaintiffs present their case as follows. On September 21st, on around 10 p.m. EST, Chanel Edwards was injured and requested assistance from the Atlanta Medical Services. On her way to the hospital, the emergency vehicle crashed. This caused additional injury to the already injured Edwards. Another emergency services vehicle arrived to pick up Edwards along with others who had been injured as well. During this pickup, Edwards was left after expressing she was locked in the back of the vehicle and could not get out. The emergency services responder acknowledged Edwards, yet still Edwards but still left Edwards in the vehicle. Miss Edwards was traumatized while fighting for her life. It left Miss Edwards emotionally distressed due to negligence of emergency service responders who left her to die. Miss Edwards is triggered every time she hears sirens due to this unfortunate situation. She has outstanding medical bills for not only the first responders' negligence in the car crash and mental health medical bills from the traumatizing near death experience, from being left by the second responder. This is the complaint as it is written. So I will also state, and I'll reiterate the video. As we can see, the emergency services worker is doing everything in her power to get her and her patients to the hospital, and the car fell into a sinkhole. At great risk to herself, the worker had to jump from the vehicle and rescue these patients so that they could safely get to the hospital. So they are sinking further and further into the mud. And then keep in mind, the hospital sent out an additional vehicle to retrieve Miss Edwards and the other patients who all arrived. So as we can see, they are doing everything they can, pardon me. They're doing everything they can to get Miss Edwards. And of course, 1 minute and 5 seconds of video footage has been submitted to this effect. And as we can see, one thing that is missing that is important from this video is that we can see that the plaintiff has about 2.25 liters of blood left after after the video ends. So one thing that is missing is that we don't see where the patient has bled out, and we also don't see where she has been completely left in the trunk. And I do have witnesses available that I will be calling soon to prove that she was indeed rescued and treated. And I would also like to iterate at this time that the burden of proof for negligence does fall on the plaintiff, and they have not fully made this case. In the complaint, the plaintiff does list medical bills as well as bills from the mental health division of the hospital. My team did speak with the emergency division as well as the mental health division of the hospital, as we can see on the TV screen. You know what I'm saying? These are therapist notes as well as the patient list at for the mental health division at the time of the incident, and we do see that Miss Edwards is not on this list. I can also confirm that she has not, nor has ever been seen by a member of the Atlanta Mental Health Division of the hospital. And not only that, I can also confirm that the Atlanta Medical Services Hospital, they are the sole governing body of mental health therapist and psychiatrist licensing. So there are no other therapists who would have been licensed to treat Miss Edwards at the time, aside from the hospital, or excuse me, aside from the therapists that were working at Atlanta Medical Services. And right here, this is a LexisNexis LexisNexis search of the hospital records inside of the Atlanta Medical Services website. As we can see, this right here are communications between myself and the hospital regarding this lawsuit. But aside from that, no other records, medical or mental, exist for the patient. And not only that, I have also here
Did you get the
a
information
pricing
to
list
take a look into your
for
medical
the
records?
hospital. These are
Seems like
This is a list
we have a
of
HIPAA
every
violation here.
possible service that you can get done at the hospital. Every service. And here is a list of the Hendricks Pharmacy, which is a third-party subsidiary of Atlanta Medical Services that provide pharmacy care. This is a list of all of their services. And I can confirm that their services combined, if you were to combine and have the most unluckiest patient in the world who had to receive every form of service and medication from both the pharmacy, every service and medication from the hospital, both companies' combined lists of services do not equate nearly to the mammonistic and opportunistic totals of the damages being provided. In order to present damages, the numbers have to add up. There has to be billing, there has to be records. And the plaintiffs have yet to prove a single dollar of damages or expenses, or that Miss Edwards was even left in the trunk to bleed out, as stated in their complaint. Now, I would also like to call Dr. Boogie X Esquire to the witness stand to provide additional information in this matter.
And I'm sorry, tell me her relation in this.
She is a head doctor at the emergency medical services, and she was also the doctor on scene at the time Miss Edwards was taken to the hospital.
I'll allow it.
All right, if you could just stand like about right here, or right there is good too. Boogie, before we begin, do you hereby swear to tell the truth, the entire truth, and only the truth, so help whatever gods you do or don't serve?
I swear to tell the truth.
Thank you. So, how long have you been working for Atlanta Medical Services?
I have been working for Atlanta Medical Services since the beginning of our Fair City's new administration. This is our second administration. I came in at the very beginning under the Honorable Chief, I'm sorry, our most amazing Chief Soraya Jones.
Yes, she is indeed amazing. So you've been here a very long time. Is it safe to say that you've worked most positions within the hospital?
Yes, I've gone from trainee to paramedic in training to paramedic full time, then on to doctor in training, then to doctor, and I am now head doctor.
Very good. And of course, congratulations. So you have experience with just about every corner of the hospital. Is that safe to say?
That is correct to say. That is an actual fact.
All right. And during your time as a trainee, did you start off taking emergency field calls?
Yes, all of us are required to. Our chief insists that we understand exactly what we're dealing with in our fair city. We do
Excuse me?
have, there you go. Um, our chief is very, very adamant about making sure that everyone who takes the oath to put life and limb first, that we understand exactly what we're dealing with when it comes to being first responders here in Atlanta. She makes sure that everyone has care of patient first, sometimes even before our own lives and our own safety. We're trained to put the citizens first.
Understood, understood. So is this day, this unfortunate September 2nd day, is this familiar to you?
It is. It is. And it is for a lot of reasons. It was quite a violent day in the city. We had a lot of activity. We were overwhelmed. The dead bodies were pouring in. It was bodies
Yes,
on
it was
bodies. Not only that, but the our city was suffering acts of God. There were mudslides. People were losing vision. There were acts of gods everywhere. Some might have called them miracles, but for us, it was a busy night.
a very busy night. So do you remember treating Miss Edwards on that day? The plaintiffs, they do assert that she was not treated. I want to know what happened with this patient on this day.
Sorry,
So
let
the
me just collect myself for a second. It was a traumatic day for everybody. Um, our colleague, um, head nurse Queen Hazel, was driving the car that the plaintiff was in, along with
And if
several.
I may briefly interject, is Queen Hazel here? Can you go ahead and point her out really quick?
Yes, that woman
Oh,
right there is head nurse Queen Hazel.
okay, perfect. Nurse on scene is present. Continue.
Yes. So even as a head nurse, she was still out on duty, as all of us were, um, because of what was happening that evening throughout the city. Um, and we all heard on the radio Queen's cries for help because as she was driving, the earth opened up and swallowed her and everyone else, all the lives that she was trying to save. So to see that um, what happened is being carelessly talked about in such a fashion that she crashed, it was an absolute lie. She was swallowed whole, and it was terrifying for her and us back on base to have to witness that, hear that, and then try to go out and help. Sorry, excuse me.
And you
But
guys did power through such a tragedy, so that's very admirable of you. So Miss Esquire, if I may ask you, you were the doctor on scene, so you were stationary at the hospital on this day, right?
yes, I was. When I heard what happened, of course, I think there were several calls, and several of the EMS workers went out to try to assist Queen Hazel find the bodies, get everyone back to the hospital. I also decided to go out because there was just so many bodies. As you saw in that video, I had a dead body on my shoulder trying to find this patient.
So,
Let me repeat that. I had a dead body on my shoulder trying to find her and to help. There was no one in the trunk. No one. As you can see in the video, if you look again to my eyes, that trunk was completely empty. And I had more dead bodies in my car, let alone the one I had on my shoulder. I was trying to figure out if she was in the trunk, how would I get her out? How would I get her to the hospital?
right. And of course, the plaintiff's videos, they do conveniently end at about 2.25 liters of blood left. So we don't see any clear evidence that she was left in the trunk. Were you guys ever able to get her out?
Yeah, attorney JB, the evidence that God works is right here in the courtroom. She was saved. The evidence is right there, Your Honor. Does she not sit there breathing? Does her heart not beat? Does her eyes not blink? Is she not breathing? We saved her life. We saved her. We got her up and we got her out of there. And it took more than myself, it took additional people, even the chief herself. All of us came to her rescue.
All
And
right,
this is
and
the thanks we get.
that does not sound very negligent to me. And I did want to ask you, as a head doctor, is it safe to say that you are very familiar with the hospital, the records, as well as the record keeping for both the emergency division, medical division, and mental health division, even as well as the gynecologist division?
I am. As the head doctor, we touch every division in the hospital. Why, just yesterday, we had a patient where we had him come in. We brought in a therapist, we brought in OBGYN, the head nurse, we had to do x rays. Our division touches every department from the paramedics to mental health. Dr. Morgan, he is our head therapist, he's our only therapist.
So I want to ask you a question that I do believe we've proven you have the expertise to answer.
Yes.
If there were a patient severely unlucky, if they had to be prescribed every medication available in the city, along with receiving every treatment that the hospital has to offer within emergency, medical, and mental, would that equate to nearly $5 million?
Let me say this. Our chief is for the people. We all are for the people, all of us that work there. Our healthcare is the most affordable in the world. We put our patients first, which means we put their pocketbooks first. Some folks come to us 3, 4 times a night simply because they know they can get the best medical care at the cheapest price. There's no one we would ever turn away for any circumstance. So no, no, $5 million. There's nothing that we would offer to that amount that would be egregious. We're not greedy. We're not poormongers. We care.
Right. So, and you are able to not answer this question, but are you able to recall perhaps maybe the most expensive hospital bill that may have been mailed out to anyone?
$4,000. And that's when they are dead, clinging to the last piece of life that they may have. and our doctors, with the help of God, are able to bring them back to life. We tell everyone, value your life. As an ER doctor, I sometimes see many people again and again on the same night. Not to say they don't value their lives, but knowing that we're touched by angels, our hands are touched by angels here at our hospital. Some people do take that for granted, but the, to answer your question, $4,000. And that is a little price to pay for life.
So the highest bill that you have ever mailed out to anyone in history was $4,000?
$4,000. And I believe when this incident happened, it was maybe $2,000. We'd have to check with the chief about
But
that.
definitely no more than 5,000. Is that safe to say?
That is more than safe to say.
All right. And with access to your records, my team did comb through every possible service that you guys have to offer. We determined that every prescription and every services from every division would come to a grand total of $125,600.
Well, you'd have to think about it. If she had tummy aches, chlamydia, herpes, every STD under the sun, pregnancy, abortion, syphilis, if she had all of those things all at the same time, then it still wouldn't come to $5 million. Probably a need for some counseling, but certainly not $5 million.
All right, certainly. That is all the questions I have for you at this time. Miss Esquire, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Miss Envy,
Oh, sorry.
from Miss Esquire.
Your Honor, may she be dismissed?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was asking Miss Envy if she had any questions.
I think you're whispering.
Sorry, was asking Miss Envy if she had any questions for Miss
I do.
Esquire.
I do. Several. Okay, so it's my understanding that you said you were, in fact, the emergency responder that responded to my client here, Miss Edwards. Is that correct?
You are incorrect. Next question.
Okay,
Definitely.
so could we put on record that this doctor here apparently just lied under oath? This was something that was just said in this courtroom. I have no further questions.
Your Honor, she asked me if I was the first responder to her to come into the to answer the call. I was not the first responder. We pointed to whom the first responder was, and I
Right.
do
I
not
asked,
like
in fact, of the responder.
being called a liar under threats of perjury in your most honorable courtroom, Your Honor. I it did in fact even point with my finger like this as to whom the first responder was.
Your Honor, the witness did beat me to the objection, but I was going to object on the grounds of combatant.
Mm.
Insulting the witness is bad decorum.
A first responder, um, maybe I may be a little bit unknowledgeable as far as what a first responder is. A
What
first
is
responder would
unknowledgeable?
be
What does that mean?
someone, I'm speaking, it would be someone who would respond as far as the EMS worker. So I'm not speaking about the first person who came to assist my client. I'm speaking about in regards to your position as a first responder, emergency medical service worker.
Please be sure to clarify your questions and be specific, attorney.
Was very specific.
No,
Again,
you
Your
weren't.
Honor, I have no further questions. Please
Okay, thank you.
go.
Miss Esquire, you may be dismissed.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Your Honor, I would next like to call as a witness head nurse Queen Hazel.
After that, I don't think it's a need. Um, the Miss Envy, will you be calling Miss Edwards to the witness stand?
Sure. Would you like to speak, Chanel, in regards to your incident that happened? How you feel about it?
Your Honor, I do have an objection. It is still the defense phase at this time, and I do not have Miss Edwards as a witness on my list.
Okay, well, we don't have to continue with any more witnesses.
All right, I conclude the defense phase. I rest.
Okay, so really at this point, y'all got your closing statements. Miss Envy,
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Judge?
closing statement.
Sure. Okay, so on today, again, we are looking for justice to be served here today. Um, I understand, like I said, we're not disputing the fact that, oh, these wonderful people who serve in Hill, Atlanta, we're not disputing that. We are disputing, like I said, the negligence. Um, the responders, first and second responders, did in fact, have a devastating incident that happened, excuse me, that caused whatever the vehicle to crash, to swirl, to be swallowed by God. Um, this, in fact, did happen. Um, and it does need to be acknowledged. And it does need to have some type of accountability when it comes to the way that my client feels, how she was left in a trunk, which in the second video, the responder did acknowledge that my client was, in fact, in the trunk. So again, we're just asking for um, my client to have justice in regards to that incident. Thank
Okay, thank you for that.
You know, court is an amazing thing. It is amazing. The first ever courthouse was founded in the state of California, surprisingly. And the third major circuit court was built right here in this great state of Georgia, in this great city of Atlanta. There are so many angles to the truth. It is like a prismarine. It is like a crystal. There are different angles, and you even see different colors in certain lights. It all depends on where you're standing in perspective of the situation. This great system was built on a diamond of a philosophy. We just want to get to the truth fairly. We appoint a judge who watches over us and makes sure that things are handled fairly and with decorum. We have one side arguing one thing and the other side arguing a different perspective. But at the end of the day, we want to get to the truth. And in this great court system, the truth has to be proven. The truth has to have evidence. Everything we say in these oaken walls, in this ivory room, It has to be backed by evidence and facts. And I present facts. We have proven here today that there was no negligence. This esteemed nurse here in the red power suit, she was the driver in this situation. She did everything within her power. She drug her patients from the mud and got them to the hospital in spite of everything. She literally drove through godly natural events and still got her patients to the hospital. We were also able to prove that there is no amount of damages or negligence that occurred that can justify the mammonistic amount of $5,000, $5 million, excuse me. And not only that, we were able to prove that Miss Edwards has indeed not been seen by any mental health division. Not to say that she has not had trauma. Everyone has had trauma from that event. I'm sure everyone probably would need to seek therapy and recover from what happened. But she did not do that. And that is what we proved today. And not only that, we also proved that there was no negligence. In this great court, the burden of proof lies solely on the plaintiff. The plaintiffs did not prove a single dollar of billing or damages. The plaintiffs did not prove any records of any mental health or even billing in that matter. The plaintiff did not even prove that she was left in the car. Her video completely ends when she has 2.25 liters of blood left. And I have two witnesses, although we've only heard from one of them, that can attest that she was indeed brought out of the trunk and sits with us today. The Atlanta Medical Services, they deal with so much natural disasters, unpleasant personalities, people abusing them, even shooting them from time to time. And in spite of it all, they have one of the hardest, most thankless jobs in the world. But they still do everything they can and they put the patient before themselves. I implore this great court to dismiss these charges on the grounds of lack of evidence. The defense has proven foundationally there is no billing, there is no $5 million in damages, and that Miss Edwards was indeed not left in the trunk. And most importantly, that this is a hospital of great, hardworking men and women who do what most citizens are scared to do, and it is just another day that ends with Y for them. These people are amazing. They do everything they can for them patients at great expense to themselves, to their loved ones. And I want to close by saying this is not a negligent hospital. This is an amazing hospital that does amazing work, even in this case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so I will say this, because from watching it, it was things that was completely out of anyone's control. Um, what I take from this though is more so of a kind of learning how to deal with people. Um, and knowing that people may handle situations differently. I will say I applaud Atlanta Medical for even dispatching out additional medics to assist in such an ungodly situation. I will also say that I do not agree with the 5 million. I do that even compared to what the DA mentioned as far as being able to, if you were to have all of these things wrong, it being a max there, and then I would say not being able to even show those records. um so just based off of, I think, the emotional standpoints of how you may have felt in that situation, I would ask that Atlanta Medical would be willing to at least pay out um, that 100,000 um, amount.
Your Honor, is that your ruling, or would you like me to speak with my clients to see if they would be willing to pay that?
I would like for you to at least speak with your client.
All right. May I have a 5 to 7 minute recess, please?
Yes. And I would say Miss Envy and Miss Edwards, maybe now is the time for you to kind of discuss that.
That's crazy work.
Yeah.
I'm a sue for hurt feelings.
Mm. Well, tell you this. I would like to go on the stand and tell my side of the story. I was traumatized. I had to jump out. And I hit the ground. I almost died. Saving lives.
Right. Not to mention
My
the
car
fact
was
that
full.
her death was to her own due to her own negligence, but
Right.
nobody brought that part up, putting our
I
lives at
had,
risk.
right. I had to grab, all them bodies. It was full. I had to put them, like I said, put them in the trunk. I told them, I said, I am so sorry. And I told them to ping where they was at so someone else can get it. And I said it in the radio. But don't. And then even Soleil Soleil went out and tried to get her too. We all went out and trying to get her.
Hmm.
It's not like we neglected her. We tried our best. She finally got out. We went and told her to pop her head and respond back to Legion. I mean, we did everything we could.
Hmm. Not left.
That's his business partner, I think.
Your Honor, I just spoke with the chief of the hospital.
Give me one more.
Mm-hmm.
time I put this cam on, when I try to come out of it, I start punching things. So I'm so sorry about that, friend.
Yeah, you punch me
Okay.
again, man. Knock my ass out again.
Mhm. And what was? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, we're gonna wait till they come back, till they return.
I wouldn't say my side of the story how I felt. Shit. I think I had to pop my head and come back. After that, mm-mm. I fell. I kept falling. That's what happened. I kept falling. Mm-mm. I went to hell for them bodies. People
Hmm.
went to hell, literally.
Sure did. Swallowed up by the earth.
Oh shit. Yeah.
She was traumatized
Mm-mm.
every day.
Like I said, I'm still going to therapy for that. The hell?
And you got the receipts for that.
Yeah. You can see right there. Mm-mm.
No, I didn't give them. No, I didn't give them no permission to go in my medical records at all.
What you mean? It's the hospital.
Mm.
Okay, so the DA was telling us that she had just heard back from the chief of Atlanta Medical, and what was that?
Okay, my apologies, Your Honor. I did speak with Chief Sirai. My bad. One moment. Yes, Chief Sarai Jones. She has concluded that the hospital will not be paying any form of damages to Miss Edwards, as the hospital was not liable for any accidents that occurred, nor did they act in any form of negligence. This is indeed a tort, and a tort is an act of negligence or omission that gives rise to injury or harm to another person, which amounts to civil wrongdoing, which the courts can impose liability. So she would need to, the only person liable in this matter is God himself and not the hospital. So they won't be paying any amount.
Also, can I say something, Judge? After speaking with my client, um, she's a little uneasy in regards to her HIPAA law being, obviously, um, not being taken into consideration. Her health, she didn't give not only the Atlanta Medical Services permission to speak in regards to her health information in front of anyone, but that was definitely violated on her end. Also, we have in fact provided proof. There, like, I mean, regardless of how it's being said and worded, um, there's definitely proof that um, the responder did know that she was in the vehicle. She acknowledged it, and she still was left there. Not only is it not taken into consideration that um, her trauma, regardless of if everyone, and we're not speaking about everyone here, we're here today for Miss Edwards. um and so that needs to be taken into excuse me, consideration as well. um But I think that's the biggest one. Like her whole privacy in regards to the healthcare information being broadcast. She didn't give anyone permission. She didn't sign any disclosures for her healthcare information or her health privacy to be violated. And nor did we say that she went anywhere in Atlanta to get her therapy treated. She has a right to go to a private therapist. That's her right. Obviously, she doesn't want to do anything with the Atlanta Medical Services, being that, they literally left her in the trunk. They can't contest and be honest and say that they saved her life that day. She was there. She knows what happened to her. I
Your Honor,
understand there's a doctor
my
that says
apologies.
she had a dead body over her shoulder. Drop the dead body and pick up the live body that's in the trunk. I mean, where's the logic here? There's
How
no
you
negligence.
how you pick up something you can't see?
Your Honor, I would like to redirect. This lawsuit is surrounding medical negligence. And in the court of law, if Miss Edwards' physical and mental health are the subject matter of a lawsuit, then their medical records are probatory and evidentiary. So no violation has occurred here. And not only that, the only records that exist are the incident where she was rescued from where she was, as well as rescued from a mudslide. And not only that, the governing body of the mental health board has certified that there are no private practices within the city. The only licensable mental health work is done through the Atlanta Medical Services Division. That is the only way that you can see a therapist. Not to say that this therapist may not have provided services or rendered help, but they are unlicensed and their expertise would not be evidentiary in the court of law.
And I will have to go ahead and jump in here, and I do have to agree with the DA on this, Miss Envy. I know for a fact that the only licensed therapist is through Atlanta Medical. And you guys have not really been able to provide that substantial evidence needed to support those claims of the medical bills or the therapist or anything really for that matter. Um, so I do just want to go ahead and make the ruling that it will stand because of no substantial evidence to support. Um, I will have to dismiss this case and court will be adjourned. Thank you all so much for coming out today and giving your time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Whew.
All
Let's
right.
get outside, y'all.
Okay. Queen, I'm gonna take this cam off. If you can move out the way so I don't hit you.
Hmm.